For our second activity in our Photoshop editing lessons, we're going to be building on what we just did, which was the clone stamp tool. We're going to be using a couple of images, these two right here. So go ahead and download those in the same manner we did before. Go to Google Drive and grab those images. Okay, they'll show up in a window. Make sure that you're downloading the full image. Save those to the source image just like we did in the previous video and open them up in Photoshop. Once you open them up, you're going to have two tabs at the top of your screen. You want to make sure that you can see them both. We're going to go to Window, Workspace, no, Arrange, and we're going to change it to 2 up vertical. That's going to make it so that we can see both files together. Okay, we will be using part of this image and dragging it into this, so we have to be able to go between images. For now, we'll change that back to Arrange, and we're just going to go to Tile All vertically. Nope, I want to go to Arrange, consolidate all to tabs. Okay, and that puts them back into tabs. All right, we're starting off with this guy here, and we're going to be doing a couple of things building on what we've already learned. So first of all, let's create a new layer. We're going to go to our clone stamp tool. Let's double click this layer and call it bird 1 because we're going to be moving this bird from here over to here. I want to select my tool. I want to make sure that I have current and below as an option. I'm going to define my source. I might move in a little bit, Command plus, just to get a really clear view of what I'm doing. Back over to this tool, option on my keyboard to define my source. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to hold spacebar and move over, and I'm going to basically replace this guy with that guy. So I'm going to click, I want to get this alignment exactly right, but then I'm just going to draw this guy into place. Very straightforward, and as long as I have a good alignment when I start, it's really simple to do. Now what I want to do, so notice again, these guys are on separate layers, and this guy is just sitting in front of the position of what was behind him. What we're going to do now is we want to get rid of the pigeon here so that it is not so kind of duplicated. So we're going to use a selection tool. There's a few of these. We have already looked at the selection tools here, but we're going to be building on those by going to this. There's a tool here. By default, it'll look like this. We want to go down to the polygonal tool, which is polygonal lasso tool, which is 3 down from the top. The way that this works is I'm just going to click and make a selection around my pigeon until I'm back to this point. Okay, make sure you get back to the beginning point. This works just like any other selection tool. So if I go select, deselect, it'll get rid of it. But I want to keep that, so Command Z, I'm going to bring that back. What I'm trying to do is remove this. As soon as I have a selection, what you'll see is Photoshop gives you the option on this toolbar here to do a couple things. We're going to use the, it's called the AI or generative AI remove. So when I click on this, it's going to very quickly, it'll take a minute to figure it out, but then it's just going to quickly and effectively remove that graphic and replace it with what it thinks should be there. And so let's just take a look at what's happening here. I'm going to turn that off. Basically, it has filled that in very effectively and very believably to get rid of that bird. Okay, and so now we've got these two elements in front, and we can just turn on and off what we want. Let's zoom out a little bit. All right, and so now what we're going to do is go back over to, we need our second image here. So let's go to Window, Arrange, and we're going to go back to our 2 up vertical and hold spacebar, and we're just going to move this guy over so we can see what we're doing. I want to be in this tab here. Spacebar will give me the option to move over. I'm going to cut this guy out, but pretty roughly. So using the same tool, which is the lasso tool here, I'm going to click and just do a pretty rough selection around. I don't want this second guy in here. So I'm just going to go back to my starting point, and then I'm going to Command C, copy, and then go back over to this tab and Command V, paste. And so you can see it pasted it. It's in a bit of a weird position here, so I'm going to move it. But you can see that it is just sort of between layers. So I'm going to bring this layer up to the top. Okay, and we're going to rename this guy landing bird. Great. I'm going to close this file here. We don't need that anymore, so close that up. And now we have our copied image in our new file. I don't want all of this gray, so we need to cut that out. So we're going to go to another tool. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 down from the top, and it is a kind of a object selection tool. I'm going to click on this guy, And then I'm going to put my cursor over top of on the layer that I want. Okay, on this layer here, I want to click on the object that I want. So the object that I want is this bird here. I'm going to click here, and it didn't do a very good job. It should actually do a much better job than that. Oh, I'm going to change this to select subject. Let's see if that does a better job. There. Okay, so it once I selected select subject, it pulls it out of the background there, and you can see it's now got those marching ants around my bird. And I want to cut this out, so I don't actually want to remove this. We're going to look for this little graphic here. It's like a circle inside a rectangle. This is a mask, and we're going to learn what that does by clicking on it and experimenting. What will happen is where my selection is, okay, where this cutout is, it's going to cut that out from the background. Okay, and so now what's happened is you can see here in my layers, I've got kind of a black and white cutout of the shape of that bird. And what you're seeing now is the bird, which is still back there. All of that information is still there. If I hold shift and click here, you'll see that all that stuff is just still there. It's just hiding it, and it just kind of shows through the shape that I want. Let's go over to the move tool, and we're going to reposition this bird because he should be kind of landing. He kind of looks like he's flying and landing on our wire here. So we're going to position him a little higher than he was, and we're going to bring back some of the colors. So you'll notice that he came from a black and white image, and this kind of color doesn't quite match. So we're going to use a tool called what's this called? Color replacement tool. Okay, we're going to click on color replacement tool, and I'm going to hold, I want to go make sure that of these two rectangles here, these two, make sure that not the mask, but the image is selected. If you have the mask selected, you'll get this no editing allowed. So I'm going to go over here. And once I do that, then I have editing controls. And I want to pick up the blue from the rest of the birds. So I'm going to hold, while I have this tool selected, I'm going to hold Option on my keyboard, and it's going to pull up the eyedropper tool. And I kind of have to pick, I'm going to zoom in a little bit, Command plus, space bar to get the hand tool. I need to pick up the blues that I'm seeing from here. So back to this tool here, Option on my keyboard. I'm going to pick up the blue in some of the feathers here, and then I'm just going to draw over top of these feathers, and it's going to draw in the blue that I want. Now I kind of got to be careful that I don't go too far with this, but that brings back some of the color. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this gray. Even though the gray is probably pretty close, I'm still going to pick this up here and kind of go over it with a bit of a smaller brush. I'm using the square bracket tool on my keyboard to change the size of my brush. I could also do it up here if I wanted to. Okay, I can click on here and choose the size, but I like the keyboard shortcut. And so I'm just going to go over this, and it's a very light blue. Maybe I'll pick up something slightly bluer than that, maybe here. Oh my God, nope. Okay, not bad. You can see it's sort of picking up a little bit of that blue, just so it's not so gray. And then again, I'm going to pick up a blue, and I'm going to start to put in. So if you look at the feathers here, there's kind of a ring of blue here. So I'm going to add some of that in, and maybe in here. Okay, and then maybe a little bit of gray here. That's looking pretty good. Now you can spend as much time on this as you want and really kind of get the colors exactly right. And using, a smaller brush or a bigger brush is going to give you better results. And you can get right in and edit this the way you want it to look until you're pretty happy with it. Okay, and once you're done, we're going to zoom out. And I want to just realign this guy, right? So right now he's a little big, so maybe I want to make him a little smaller. I'm going to go edit. I'm going to, edit, transform, and I'm going to scale this down just a little bit. I'm going to bring this down here. That looks a bit better. I'm going to hit checkbox here or check mark here. And in that case, I'm kind of done with what I need to do in terms of the skills. You can get in and spend as much time working on your bird and the colors as you need to get this to where you need it to be. When you're done with it, you're going to save your PSD in your named folder and export a PNG to put on your Wix website.